Welcome once again to Beyond the Lens, where we take you on a journey. So honored to have Andres Leiva. He's a staff photographer for Food for the Poor's creative department who gleans all the fabulous photos that you can see on our website at foodforthepoor.org. Andres is so glad to have you with us. You sent me a photo of two girls laughing in front of a shack. And when we think about telling the story of desperate poverty, it's not usually the photos that we see when we're trying to tell the story. Why was it so important for you to get this particular shot?
It's actually one of my favorite images that I've taken here at Food for the Poor. So the image is from one of my early trips to Honduras, and coming into it with a fresh eye, meeting new people. Sometimes you tend to bring in your own preconceptions about what life in another country or for people in poverty might be. But I love this picture because it kind of revealed to me so much about how similar, we are here living in the U.S., living in the developed world, as might be called, to people that are, in places like Honduras, living in situations of poverty. So this image, these two little girls, as you can see, they're laughing, they're playing. They're two siblings who we met in Honduras. And the thing that was so striking to me is that coming into this, we met with their mother, and we were hearing about their situation, and it wasn't a great situation for the family. They had to struggle with house and poor conditions. Food was a concern. Just the lack of resources was something that weighed heavily in their lives. And while we were talking, I noticed that these two little girls, I quickly noticed that they were each other's best friend, the way they played, the way they were giggling with each other. And I followed them outside the house and watched them play. And I was immediately reminded of my own two little nieces, who are a little bit older than them, but very similar in age, and also just totally happy-go-lucky girls who are just, in love with life and just love to play. And it just weighed upon me how much I was starting to see, elements of my own life and the elements of this family that we were meeting. And it just reminded me that there's very little difference, between us two when you really get down to it, other than, just the circumstances of the lives that we were born in. But the people that we serve that are in poverty, they're just like you and me, or really anybody. They like I said, the only difference is sometimes like the families we were born to.
Now, Andres, you grew up in one of the countries that Food for the Poor serves, El Salvador. So this was no strange sight to you. How do you now see the lives of these girls and so many other kids on the other side of the lens?
I grew up in El Salvador. It wasn't a situation at all similar to this. I was blessed with a family that for the most part never went without. But I find that going back, having grown up in this country and going back and being in the region to document these families, I feel like it's so important because when I share the stories, when we share the stories with the donor, the entire purpose is to be able to share their, to educate, to share their stories of need, but also to show that these families are just like, say your neighbor or your loved ones who might be in need. We're all the same humans, and, we all need to eat. We all need a safe place to be sheltered. And, if we can show that all that these families need is just a helping hand, then that can help change their lives for the good if the right story reaches the right person. And their generosity can be returned. So yeah, I really enjoy being able to, having grown up familiar with these situations, I really enjoy being able to go back and document these stories.
Well, the joy really shows, Andres. Andres Leiva, he's a former photojournalist, but now a full-time storyteller with Food for the Poor as a staff photographer for our creative department. And they are the ones who paint these pictures for you that you can go to our website at foodforthepoor.org. Click on the flags below at the bottom. You can find out what we're doing in all of these countries. but it's the photos. And I always like to focus in on the eyes. I know you like to do that too, Andres. Hear the stories of these real mothers, real children, real men and women who are fighting their way through a new life. And Andres, like you said, it's a great way for us to give them a hand up. So foodforthepoor.org, and also got more great stories coming your way right here on our YouTube channel. Hit like, share, and subscribe. In our final minutes here, Andres, is there anything that you like to share that you wish everyone watching or listening could share in your experience in meeting these two girls and observing their surroundings?
Just, if you think of, if you see a family member in need or maybe your neighbor in need and you would think, I would absolutely help them, then I would invite you to consider the same thing when you're, reading the stories about these families, because we're all the same. These families are just like your loved ones, and they're just like your neighbors, and they can use some help too.
Great words, Andres. Andres Leiva, staff photographer for Food for the Poor. Again, Andres, thank you so much for all that you do, and looking forward to hearing more of these stories and seeing them. Be sure to check out our website and check out the stories. Get into the stories and the lives of these people. Foodforthepoor.org is our website. More content and stories coming your way here on YouTube, Food for the Poor. Just hit like, share, and subscribe. Thank you so much for joining us on our journey as we take you beyond the lens. I'm Chris Wallace. God bless you. Beyond the Lens is a production of Food for the Poor, united in God's work.